Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers podcast, where apparently Skype keeps fucking with my goddamn mic audio, and we're not even 5 seconds in, I'm already cussing up a storm. We talk about video game stuff. Kev says glorious a lot. Travis, he doesn't play any actual video games, and Xaiphen likes tweaking with his microphone settings constantly as we're doing stuff. Anyway, let me actually do proper introductions here. I am... yeah. So, let me, before I do proper introductions, let me correct my damn microphone volume again. God, I can't wait till we're not using Skype anymore. Fuck you, Skype. Alright, there we go. I know. We're actually going to talk about that today too, I think, because it's a conversation we definitely need to have. So
I just want to talk about consoles.
There we go. All right, so I am Angelus de Mortiel, together with Kev the Gamer.
Fuck Sony.
Xaiphen.
I'm not echoing right now.
Yay!
But he will be. And Deathshroud09, who doesn't play any games apparently, except for Flappy Bird and Terraria.
What are video games? Like, come on. What is this Nintendo you speak of?
And by the way...
And stream shut down.
And by the way, I would just like to draw attention. Let's get this out of the way ahead of time on there. I'd like to draw attention to everybody to my lovely live wallpaper brought to you by Wallpaper Engine, who's not sponsoring this damn podcast, but they really should. This is a wonderful AMD... a realistic interpretation of AMD's CPUs and their GPUs, if anybody's curious.
I'd also like to point out we are not live on YouTube. I don't know if that's by design.
That is by design. Also another thing we're talking about today. Because YouTube and Twitch are assholes to each other.
They can't get their shit together.
Yeah, so...
the suggestion that I was talking about before when I said, why don't we just go straight to Twitch?
Yeah, pretty much. Because at this point, let's be honest. I mean, it's not like YouTube has any vested interest in curating free speech, quote unquote free speech. God,
Right.
That's great. Anyway, so let's start off. Xaiphen, you played any games this week? Don't be Travis.
Told y'all Travis don't play games.
I've okay.
I was talking to Travis.
If what little you've seen me online, I've been hopping around on a few different games. Minor renewed interest in Warframe. I mean, that's one of those things that's ever present, but it's not picking up as much as, like, say, it has been for Major Stupidity. I have not completely abandoned Mass Effect Andromeda, like some of you guys have.
Morty.
Play that one every once in a while.
No idea what you're talking about.
More of a new game for me that I've been playing a lot more of is Styx, not the newest Styx game out, but
Styx, and then he faded
Styx
off.
Master of Shadows is the first game in the series. There's now a sequel out. I have not, haven't bought or started on the sequel yet. I haven't even made it through the first game, but it's a fun stealth.
You know, I'll talk about stealth stuff here once it comes to me. First, we'll talk about Kev, who has gaming ADD and doesn't have a game on his Steam profile that he's played for more than 50 hours.
That's right. Because not everyone plays the same games over and over again. I have a large Steam collection, thank you.
So do I. I just have played like 3.
There we go.
Or if you're German, 3.
I've played a good amount of these games.
So Kev,
Mort got that one. No one else did.
So Kev, what have you been playing this week though?
Sonic Mania. I beat COD Infinite Warfare last night.
Nice.
I'm still playing Sonic Mania. Started Infamous First Light. I've been meaning to play that for a while. I'll probably beat that today.
Wait, for Infamous First Light? I haven't heard of this one.
It's the standalone expansion that they did for Infamous Second Son.
Oh.
It came out about
is it the one?
around 2015.
Is it the one about the chick?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now I do remember. Okay.
Yeah, she was in Second Son, and she made this big deal about her brother. This tells the story about what happened with her and her brother, and why her brother isn't there.
Yeah, now it makes sense to me.
Yeah, so I think it's about a 6-hour game. I'm like 2 hours into it. So I'll probably finish that today. Yeah, that's basically it. After that, I don't know what I'm gonna start because I'm basically trying to kill time until Uncharted Lost Legacy drops.
And I've been hearing like that actually got a killer rating. I think it was like 9 on a lot
Most
of
of the,
sites.
I actually think all the Uncharted's got a killer rating.
Oh yeah,
I'm at a point now where I was thinking about it this morning. I posted on Twitter. I'm like my top 5 favorite gaming IPs, and it's hard not to say Uncharted's up there.
mm-hmm.
I love all 4 of them. I was thinking about it too. I think I posted this too. I love all 4 Uncharted games and 3 of the Mass Effect games. Does that mean Uncharted's my new favorite franchise? Am I a pony? Oh my god, I'm a Sony fanboy.
We'll get to that one. So Travis, did you play some Flappy Bird?
Yeah, some new Flappy Birds. That game is terrible compared to the old ones.
Well, I mean, the old ones are terrible
honestly,
too. So.
The old ones were actually slightly challenging on some levels, but the new one, there's absolutely no rampant challenge whatsoever. Every level is ridiculously easy. I'm like halfway through the game. I got like halfway through the game, and I'm like, the difficulty still hasn't ramped up yet. And it's basically just there for people who are bored, don't feel like putting in any effort. And there's no reason to even like purchase points on it. It's that easy. It's that easy.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing because one of the signatures of Flappy Bird, the Xaiphen, we can't hear you because you're too far away. One of the signatures of Flappy Bird has always been that it was frustratingly difficult. Like pull your hair out, bash your face into the wall, frustrating.
It was Dark Souls like.
Yeah, it was the Dark Souls before Dark Souls.
To start emulating the old school arcade and Atari games, where the difficulty would just go on infinitely until you like threw the console out a window.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, would it really take much frustration for Morty to throw a console out the window?
A little bit more than it would for me.
720p in 2017, out the window you go.
I'm not a specs elitist. Like, listen, I'm playing games at 1080p and not having any
14
problems.
frames a second, out the window.
Yeah, no, okay, 14 frames a second. Yeah, we're having a discussion there because that's unplayable. But no, what I mean is, my problem isn't with the plastic. My problem isn't with the gamers using the plastic. My problem is the corporations and their PR machine that's creating the fanboys behind that. That's my problem.
We've had this conversation before, and you've seen me say many times, I like my PS4. I just hate the shit that Sony does to it.
I hate Sony in general. Like, Sony is such a fucking... It's same thing with Bethesda. They are so damn shady, and they really deserve a lot more flack for the shit they pull. Like, let's talk about Ark and how Ark released on consoles, and then people were like, oh hey, can we crossplay with PC? And Ark's like, nope, because Sony won't allow it.
That's not the whole story. That's not the whole story. Because they're going to do it with Xbox. It's an Xbox Play Anywhere title.
Yes.
That was the original thing. When they launched Xbox to Play Anywhere, it was always going to be Xbox and PC. They later released the PS4 version, and Sony basically pulled the same shit they did with Minecraft.
Yep.
Where Sony just keeps saying, well, and I think it has more to do with the fact that there's just no benefit to Sony to do this.
That's what I'm saying, is that it's the benefit is entirely to the consumer. And so no corporation is financially incentivized to do crossplay technically. Because if you think about it, it disincentivizes the consumer from buying a platform.
The only thing that would make it work is if actual developers banded together and was like, hey, we want crossplay, or you don't get our games.
I think a lot of devs do it. My understanding was they wanted to do it with Andromeda, and Sony said no. They wanted to do it with, of course, Ark. The Rocket League devs have been very vocal about it. I keep hearing it, but I think we have to hear something big. Like, I think if like the Madden community, for example, jumped up and said we want crossplay, or the FIFA community or the COD community, something like that, and said, hey, we want crossplay with consoles. That's when you're going to see a change.
That goes back to the thing that Morty was saying. There's still no incentive. Like, It would have to be the developers
Yeah.
taking a hardline stance. We want crossplay, or you don't get our game.
Not developers, specifically
Or
publishers.
publishers.
If you had EA, Activision Blizzard, and Ubisoft Bethesda all saying, hey, our cross-platform titles that are multiplayer, which I don't really think Bethesda has any vested interest in that. They're pretty heavily in the single-player verse. But whatever the case is, if those guys, the big wigs, and 2K games, let's not forget about them, all said, you need to have crossplay. You need to enable crossplay for all our games, or we're going to exclude your platform. That's big money. You're talking Call of Duty not coming to your platform. You're talking about Madden, FIFA not coming to your platform. You're talking about I know Kev makes jokes, but NBA Live from 2K or what's the other big
2K and Live are two different games, bro.
Are they?
NBA
sorry. Yeah.
EA's basketball game.
Yeah.
And 2K is 2K's.
Yeah, so, but in any case, Take-Two's big games, I tend not to pay attention to Take-Two. Rockstar, GTA 5. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. GTA 5, not coming to your platform.
Yeah,
that lights a fire under them.
If Rockstar said that about Red Dead Redemption 2, you give us crossplay or you're not getting Red Dead 2, Sony would be like, open the floodgates for Red Dead.
Yeah,
it would just be Red Dead.
And that's the thing is that you would need to have all of the big wig publishers, all the AAA publishers, taking a hard stance on it. And the thing is that they would be in a better position to do that because it does benefit the publishers and the developers for them to have crossplay because they're not tied to a platform unless they really want to, like Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog makes Uncharted.
Well,
right?
Naughty Dog is owned, I believe, at this point by Sony. I believe Sony owns the studio. But they're basically only making
I think you're right. Yeah, and
I would think it'd be something maybe more like Insomniac, where Insomniac has a history of making PlayStation games, and then they came out and made Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah,
but every other game they've ever made was strictly on PlayStation.
Yeah, but I guess my main thing is the publishers. It would financially benefit them because it would drive more sales to their games, knowing that a person on Xbox can buy it and play with their friends on PC or PlayStation. It would drive more sales for them. It would benefit them financially, and that's the only language that any of those corporations speak is money. You hit their bottom line. That's the only thing that'll get through to them. And
the problem is that and this is where I come back to the community. I believe the community has to push that to these game developers and to these publishers.
Yeah, to the publishers.
Because it's going to hit their bottom line. Like, we're not buying these games if we can't play crossplay. And even then, you have the community that's going to do kind of like what they're doing to the Xbox players now. At least, the more hardcore audience. Why should I buy an Xbox if I can play these same games with Xbox people and my PC friends from a PC? Those funny people without PCs would make that argument.
And the thing is that from there... Guess what else Microsoft also makes? Oh, Windows. Yeah. And they've got a pretty heavy thing on there. So the thing is that here's to me, the ideal situation on how the market should look. Not necessarily the way it will work or the way it does work, but the way I think it should work is you have different hardware options. Yeah, they don't necessarily have the same software on them. Sony versus Microsoft versus Nintendo, whatever. You have these different hardware options that have unique features to the hardware. For example, the Switch is kind of like this hybrid light living room console / portable console. It's got a unique hardware feature set that no other console has. Nintendo is the only, as sad as this is for me to admit, because I think Nintendo is pretty shady. Nintendo's the only one who actually gets the fact that they need to make their hardware different and unique.
That's always been Nintendo's thing. Remember, they were the first controller with the shoulder buttons, the shoulder guys here.
Yep.
That was on the SNES. Nobody else had that. They were the first one with the analog stick on the N64.
Yep.
They always had that. The motion controls that everybody copied last generation, that was the Wii.
Yep. No, like I said, they have been big on trying to do new things, and it doesn't always work out well for them.
The problem is... Well, the GameCube, I didn't like the GameCube. I thought the controller was fine.
Very few
It's the
people
closest
like
they've ever come to a regular controller. And that's what's funny when you talk to the community. That's one thing they complain about. They say, well, we just want a regular controller. And as somebody who's owned both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, we're not going to talk about how many Xboxes I've been through. But they're
Xbox.
almost exactly the same. Yeah, Xbox One, I've been through quite a few.
I said Xbox. You have like 6 different Xboxes. You just love them so much. You want to keep buying Xboxes to support
And
them.
Xbox lists. I do not own a single Xbox right now. That'll probably change at some point, but right now I don't own any Xboxes. What you call it? I do have 2 PS4s. I have one in my living room, and then one that I use for YouTubing, streaming, and when I just feel like playing because I can never get to my other one because my kids have taken it over, which is why I bought a second one. But what was I saying? I mean, I had a point there. Oh, they're basically the same. They have almost they have all the same multiplats. PlayStation does have more unique games to it. I'm not even going to say exclusive because at this point, unless you want to talk about the term console exclusive, we have a lot of games that just don't come to Xbox.
I love that. This is an exclusive PS4 title. It's also on PC.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's funny because they're
exactly.
doing it with both sides. Like
Yeah.
PlayerUnknown,
Yeah. Both of them do it.
But
Yeah.
Microsoft isn't as shady about it because they're now saying they're coming out saying first to console.
Yeah, first console, or they'll say console exclusive. Sony just says exclusive. They, as far as I've seen, they don't use the term console exclusive. That's
I know
Microsoft.
they had it on the cover of Street Fighter V. That was the first time I had seen Sony say it. But yeah, they were like, I remember all of these indie games where they would just say it's exclusive. And when PC players would call them out on it, of course, the fanboys would come out, PC's irrelevant. Nobody cares about PC.
PC has never been irrelevant, and it's only
I just
continuing.
like to point out.
Say. But then when it comes to Xbox, why buy an Xbox? I can get all those games on PC. You're fucking
Something you
hypocrite.
notice when you've got new PC parts that come out, like the Ryzen CPU. You know where the heaviest marketing on that was? Gaming. Even though that CPU is actually better for everything but gaming.
Well,
It's good for
Ryzen
gaming,
7s?
but it's better at everything else compared to
Ryzen 7?
Intel. But they're marketing so heavy in gaming because gaming is where growth is in the PC market. That's where the growth factor is. You're looking at your average use home computers. There's not only is there not very little growth, but in some cases there is shrinkage. They're losing sales in average PC. Gaming PCs are the only place where there's real growth, and that's where their target market is on a lot.
This. Everybody has this. As long as you have that, for the most part, you don't need for the average consumer. I don't believe as long as you have that, you need a PC.
So here's the first.
Somebody
thing
has like a 10-year-old computer that's still functional for their basic needs on things.
I like Travis.
Oh,
Shots fired.
Travis,
But
you feeling all right there? Tepid water is how you treat a burn.
actually, I think Travis is a good case sample of that. Travis is mostly playing mobile games and the occasional game that'll run on his 10-year-old laptop.
And by the way, to dispel a rumor, that still makes him a gamer. Sorry, fanboys. Yeah. I love that one where they have to define what makes a gamer. It's someone who plays on console. Like, no. Anyway,
no. It makes it even better when they say somebody in order to be a gamer or a PC gamer, you have to have these high-end rigs.
Oh yeah.
If you have anything less than what I think somebody told me the other day, a 1080, then you're just a PC peasant and nobody cares about you.
I shit
like
you
a 1060
not.
will run circles around your damn console.
I shit you
I'm
not.
sorry to let you know, but like, the haters, but one of the biggest PC markets are in other countries.
Well,
right?
no, there is a lot of money in other, like in server and commercialware and other stuff like that. I'm talking about growth. Mm-hmm. That's, because in the business side of things, it's not that they have to show a profit. They have to show increasing profit. When they have to deal with shareholders and other stuff like that, they have to show that their business is becoming bigger. Well, in the average PC market, even if you're looking at growing third world countries and all that stuff, in where their biggest money growth is for PC sales is gaming. That's, it used to be just general computers, but now at this point it's gaming, and that's why you see so much target advertisement specifically for gamers.
I just think, I don't know, and this is
really,
going to sound elitist of me.
Is that strange?
What?
Continue.
I was going to say, maybe this might sound elitist of me, but I feel like, every generation of gaming there's an obvious superior platform. And right now, I think PC is finally caught up where I wouldn't have said that at the beginning of the last console generation. I think the 360 last console generation was the way to go. In the beginning, like if you had to pick one is right out the generation, I'd say totally the Xbox 360. Right now, I really do think that, and even from the beginning of this generation, PC has just consistently been the way to go.
I mean, when you look at it, and now I feel like this may be a slight skewed number, and I'll explain why in a moment. When you look at the top GPU currently under the Steam hardware survey is actually the 1060. Now, the reason why I think that might be skewed is because I think some of the people that are doing the Steam hardware survey are not actually gamers; they're cryptocurrency guys that have 6 1060s in their rig, and that kind of might skew things a bit.
No, it's usually like I actually follow those surveys. It usually is a 60 series GPU.
Yeah.
And if you look, number 2 is the 750
except for the 970 at its heyday. The 960 ended up overtaking it now, but in its heyday, the 970 was that like dominating. I mean, clearly dominating the market for a long time because of its price performance.
That's what I say. That's usually what it is too. It's the price for performance. Right now, the 1060 is the price for performance game.
Yep.
Last generation it was the 970. I think the 960 was very underwhelming. You remember before that it was the 760. That's why I say usually the 60 series GPUs. I think even the 660 for a while was.
I mean,
it's kind of considered, even though it's not entry level, it's mid tier, but a lot of people think of that as the 60 series as the starter getting into heavier gaming on PC. Even though like you can get a 50 series, I ran with a 750 for a while, and it's very, 50 series of whatever generation is usually very competent. Moore had a 50 series at one point in time.
I had a 750 Ti that I rocked until I got my 970.
It's a bit of a misnomer though. Like you say, I say that I had a 650 Ti boost, but in reality, as I looked at the performance specs of it, it was closer to the 660 than the 650 Ti, or 660.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
True. 660, not 760 though. The 760 was directly comparable to a 660 Ti.
Yeah. Yep. So without getting too much into the hardware talk on it, there is the main thing that I want to get at on there though is that PC gaming doesn't need expensive hardware. But aside from that, onto more particular things. Something that I note on there is that the PC gaming market makes up 40%, according to a hardware or a study that was done by a third-party metrics company. 40% of the overall gaming market is PC gaming, and then I think it was 30%, 30%, and then another I think it was 40% was mobile gaming, and then that last 30% was divided up into your consoles. Mobile gaming, far and away the largest gaming segment. And that makes sense because it's everybody's got a smartphone nowadays.
Of it.
Everybody's got a smartphone.
I mean, a lot of people that don't even identify as gamers will play a lot of mobile games. Or like, for example, I have a PS4. I cut my cords. I don't have cable TV, so we use my PS4. And when I had my Xbox, I had it for so long, we used it basically as a glorified Amazon Fire Stick.
Yeah.
And my point is, like, my kids, when they play a lot of games, it's on their tablets.
Yeah.
A lot of mobile games because when they can't get to the PS4.
Yeah, but my point with that is, mobile is probably the largest platform. Second to that is PC by a close margin, and consoles are far behind because when you think about it, they're still, while not quite as prolific, I would say, as mobile devices because everybody has a smartphone. While everybody has a smartphone, almost everybody has a PC. And, whether it be Facebook gaming or, actually be hardcore playing, Doom at 4K, there's still a lot of people gaming on PC, and disregarding that market would be foolish, which is why all the publishers have the console exclusives that are also on PC, because that would just be stupid for them to disclude the largest market segment that they release to.
Well, you say that, but Sony.
Well, now, and that's where I'm kind of getting back to, is with Sony, it right now as it is, they are not in any way. There's no real reason for them to actually buy into crossplay, because it would disincentivize people to buy a PS4. Because if I'm on PC, the largest market segment that's already dominant, and I can play PlayStation games already, the only thing holding me back is the fact that all of my friends are on PS4 and I can't play with them. Well, I guess I have to buy a PlayStation 4 to play with them.
Well, this is actually where I'm going with that too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily put your exclusives on there. Mm-hmm. I think that's always been Sony's bread and butter, is their exclusives. I don't think of Xbox really as an exclusive box, the way I think of Sony and Nintendo.
Truthfully, I think that exclusives should be stuff that is peripheral specific exclusives. For example, a game that can only run on a keyboard and mouse should be a PC exclusive. A game like if Sony and Microsoft actually ballsed up and actually diversified their stuff a little bit more, they could have exclusives to their hardware peripherals as well, like Nintendo Switch. Now the Switch I don't think is touchscrony, right? It's not.
No, it's not. It's not. The Vita is though.
Yeah, the
Vita is, and they actually had games that took advantage of it. The point I was making though, all of Sony has all its first party games. I don't think it's going to hurt them to do multi-plats. And that's what I was talking about. Games like Ark, games like Minecraft, games that are on everything anyway. It's not going to hurt you to say, hey, I can play this on the PS4 I already have with my Xbox friends.
Yep.
Because I think people, especially at this point in the generation, people have the console they want anyway.
Here's another thing that the industry doesn't realize, that there's a lot of people that are just not going to make, a lot of people can justify a $60 game purchase, but they can't justify even in an older discounted $100 or $200 console purchase. So they're looking at, I'm not going to buy this game because I can't play with my friends, not I'm going to buy this console so I can play with my friends. Not everybody has that free spending ability. So they more or less, you look at a publisher standpoint and they're not paying attention to this, is not only are people not buying that console, they're not even buying the game because they can't play with their friends.
Yes, that's also a good point too. And to add to that, most people, the average person only has one platform at a time. And most people also stick with that platform. People don't like to make big changes. They get what they know. They get what they like. Hell, I did it when I went from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, and almost did it with the PS3, but that $600 price tag turned me off. That's the reason I went to. That's one of the main reasons I went to Xbox, because I didn't like that $600 price tag. And I don't think most people are. I think most people are that way too. If I have something that works, I'm gonna stick with it until it stops working. Or at least until what I perceive as working.
I think though, like one of the things that the reason why, while you may think that that a cross-play game may not affect Sony, because there are people that no matter what, they're not going to buy a PlayStation, right? Like for example, me. It doesn't matter what games they have. I'm not interested in buying into that ecosystem. It really holds no interest for me. There's plenty of games that I can enjoy and have fun on PC and not have to pay an arbitrary $60 a month to use my own internet connection. And
$60 a month? Oh God, who does that?
Or it's not $60 a year. Sorry, $60 a year, and they may increase that because they hold the dominant market share, and they can do that, as they did in Europe recently. Yay! So now Europeans are actually paying more than people in the U.S. for PSN.
Which is kind of retarded, because they raised the price a year ago.
Euros?
They're paying 60 euros, yeah.
Yeah, they're paying 60 euros. A year ago, they raised it in the U.S. to $60.
It was
Xbox,
50,
and then they thought, we're leaving Europe alone. And then they bumped up Europe earlier this year.
Well, and the thing is that
I've noticed that a lot with developers. It's weird. They will have the same number across currencies, which is very strange to me.
It is actually a completely back-ass-words way to do things, and it's a way, honestly, to justify kind of overcharging people and making a little extra buck on VATs. And that's really because they still charge VAT, by the way.
Which developer was it? The developer that does Crusader Kings, where they tried to do that in Russia a few months back, and I forget the name of the publisher, but they were not having it. Oh, Crusader Kings and all that.
Here's something that would be funny on that. Okay, you have say Microsoft Live, $60 USD, 60 euros, and of course that's an advertising point of GOG. $60 does not equal 60 euros. Well, if they're going to go that angle on that, then they need to start selling games in Japan for 60 yen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great. Or in India for 60 rupees. Which is even more ridiculous. Because I think a game in India sells for like 100,000 rupees or something crazy like that. I think you have approximately 1,000 rupees to $1 versus, like, say, the 100 yen to $1 in Japan. Yeah, it gets
and all this
pretty
time,
crazy.
I just thought rupees were just currency in Zelda.
God rejoice.
Now, does that change your perspective of Legend of Zelda, knowing that it's a stereotype of India? I'm kidding. It has nothing to do with India at all. It's just coincidence that rupees were. I made that joke. I was like, did you know that Link is actually a stereotype of an Indian person? And people are like, what? He's white with blonde hair.
Man.
Like, what do you mean?
And every time summer comes around, every time summer comes around in my store, we get some planting stuff that we put out in front of it, and this Indian guy that always comes and rolls through them and smashes them, all the pots constantly. It's just so annoying.
It's because it's an ancient Indian tradition that I'm just making up right now. That in the summertime. They would get all the men would get together. They would put on these little stocking caps, and they would take a sword and bash open all of the pots in their village.
You got to bash open all the pots in your village.
And the idea is the women of the village would hide rupees in the pots, and then go hide in a castle dungeon somewhere.
Don't forget that they would all take their swords for acid baths, hoping that the one person would win the lottery and get that magic sword that could throw its blade across the room.
I want that sword. I've never seen that sword.
I want a Legend of Zelda themed Easter now, where you go and you smash pots for eggs.
by the way, to any Indian person that might happen to watch this podcast, I actually love Indians a lot. I work with a lot of them, and that's where this joke kind of developed from, by the way, is that we were having a discussion about this at my workplace, and they thought it was hilarious. So just so you know, it wasn't just like a complete racial profile. That's where it came from, is why did they use rupees in Zelda?
Leave that to the FBI to do racial profiling.
Yeah, exactly. So in any case, though, like I said, while it's easy to think... we're talking about the crossplay thing. While it's easy to think that Sony is... it wouldn't make a difference one way or another, right? Because there are people that aren't going to buy their console no matter what. There are still, at least in their assessment, there are going to be people that otherwise might have bought a PlayStation that will not, because there's crossplay. And that's, like I said, whether or not that it's, to me, that's kind of like the piracy argument. There's no evidence to show that if there was crossplay that a person would or would not have bought a PlayStation. It's to me, it's a kind of a fallacious assessment, but that's the way that they've judged it. That is actually the way that they've judged it, and the reason why they don't support it is because they feel like it would hurt their brand.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why corporate business is not always the most efficient for actually user market. But anyway,
Is this also why corporate slavery is bad for everyone?
Yes, this is why corporate slavery is bad for Kev the Gamer.
Who do I corporate slave for?
Huh?
Who do I corporate slave for?
You didn't say you did. I said it was bad for you.
Oh, I thought you were implying that I corporate slaved. I'm like, I was waiting for the razor shots so I could take my Logitech shots. And Intel shots after that.
Getting his hopes up to hope to be set up for that counterattack, and it just never happened.
It just never happened because
it's like chess, my friend. It's like chess.
The reason why is because I don't want to set you up for that because I'm afraid that your keyboard might break in typing up that response.
Oh.
That's okay. You keep paying that extra for your heating bill. AMD Master Race.
I don't have AMD.
You don't have to pay heating bill when you have AMD.
AMD.
They're saving you money.
I don't even have AMD, and I've been seriously. I was really looking forward to. I had my hopes up for Vega.
Oh, so did I. I was actually I saw. Who was it?
You're not in the market for. You're not in the market for an upgrade. You're sitting on a 1080 right now. I'm sitting on a 960. I'm looking for.
I still want Vega to do well.
Yeah, it's not even like a do well thing.
I want because it keeps NVIDIA on their toes.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm looking for a not NVIDIA driver driven, or at least not consumer grade NVIDIA driver, 1440p. High frequency capable card, which Vega should be that. The 580 just doesn't cut it, nor does it exist right now. It's out of stock.
Vega 64 actually, it's an okay
Vega 64 is competent with that. It's just their marketing push on it. When I was first looking at it, it's like, all right, right up my market, what I'm looking for. And I looked at the Asus advertising because I like the extra features that Asus has. I was like, all right, I'm probably looking at around $550 for the Asus Strix, 64 air cooled. Off of their original price advertising of the air cooled being $500. Oh no, wait, no, it's going to be $600 now. Just kidding. We pulled the rug out from under
well,
you.
AMD's doing that too. I heard they screwed up with the pricing for Vega too.
No, that's what I'm talking about. The AMD MSRP, which is going to affect AIBs. Or
I thought you were talking about the Strix. My bad.
No, Strix pricing isn't out yet. I'm just guessing Strix pricing is going. It's going to have a markup on it over MSRP of the stock card, because Strix is the highest markups.
Yeah.
It's price, and Kev can attest to this. The price for Asus Strix is it's $$ in the word glorious in all caps.
I don't know anything about Strix. I've never owned a Strix card.
Oh, that's such a shame.
Sucks to be you, dude.
Why?
Well, I mean, you can just look behind me, and there's just enough Strix to light up the neighborhood with all of that RGB lighting.
That's the thing. Is like I'm.
By the way,
well, I have a Gigabyte 1080. I have a Gigabyte 1080, and then I had an EVGA. My 750 Ti was EVGA, and my 970 were EVGA.
So I will point out though, is that by the way, anybody that wants to buy me a monitor for like Christmas or a belated birthday present, there is an Asus ROG Strix curved. I think it's like a 1440p 144 hertz monitor. It's only like $350, and the best part about it syncs up with the Aura Sync lighting that I have in my case already. So
you heard it here first. Morty is a corporate slave for Asus and Strix.
Wait, only $350. Is that a 19-inch monitor?
No, it's a 27-inch. I think it's 1440p. It might be 1080.
It's FreeSync though, isn't it? Is that why the price is so low?
Oh yeah, G-Sync automatically adds $200 on the price. Automatically.
Yeah, that's another reason why I was looking at the AMD route on that one, and I still may end up getting Vega just because I will save let's say I go 1080 versus Vega 64. Both looking at ROG Strix. It's still going to cost me $200 less to go the Vega route. So even though I don't like the stupid shit they're doing on their marketing, it just is likely going to be the better one.
Yeah. But not to shift gears on here, but I do have some other stuff that we got to
move on.
Yeah, we got to move on.
Yeah, we've been on this topic for 45 minutes.
So here's something that I do think is something we can all talk to, especially Kev, since I know that he has thoughts on this, and Travis as well.
Hellblade?
So this month in AAA failing and indie succeeding, we have two games that we're going to discuss here. So the first one is Middle-earth: Shadow of War. God, this is going to be fun. And Hellblade:
Don't say
Senua's
that, 'cause I didn't
Sacrifice.
see what happened with Shadow
What's-
of War, and
what's
I
the
was
second
actually
game?
looking forward to the game.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Which is the #1 selling game on PSN right now in the
Yeah,
US.
that would be our indie succeeding, by the way. Hellblade is an indie title, and it's fucking amazing. I mean, to be fair, the
In
action...
fairness, I do not like the game. I have 2 parts of a Let's Play on my channel. I just don't like the game, and I put it down.
Yeah, and the thing is there is obviously subjective taste, because some people don't like the narrative. To be fair, the action is kind of weak in the game. That is definitely
That's what turned me off on it.
Yeah, the action is pretty weak, but the storytelling in the game is top notch. The graphics, holy fuck, that's an indie game. That's kind of my same thing with saying Killing Floor 2 is you look at that this is an indie game. But yeah, so
It was Warframe. Warframe's an indie game too.
yeah, but
By definition.
I was talking graphic fidelity. No, Warframe is not, by definition, it's 100%.
I think we have to define graphics, because what is graphical fidelity? Because people don't understand what that is. Like, you're being told resolution isn't graphics.
So I'm talking about the actual texture resolution and texture mapping and how detailed it looks. If you look at a comparison, for example, of Senua compared to her face map model, versus Mass Effect Andromeda.
My face is tired.
Oh, you brought the Andromeda out.
my
That's so
face
low.
is so tired. No, even with the animations in Andromeda fixed, if you look at a comparison of any of the characters versus their face models, I'll give it the best comparison you possibly can get, because obviously the female Ryder character, Sarah Ryder, doesn't look like her model at all, and there was a lot of criticism about that. The male Ryder, however, does seem to have a closer resemblance to his face model. The thing is that even with that, they're not, they don't even hold a candle to how realistic the face mapping was done for Senua and Hellblade. It's pretty creepy, to the point where if you showed a shot of that face model with her face painted up and doing the same facial acting, I'm not sure I could tell the difference in some of the cases.
They did a really good job on how the game looks.
Yeah,
with the textures and everything.
It's to the point where I would expect it was something made by a big budget, high end developer, and it's an indie studio of 20 people.
With it. It is Ninja Theory.
Yes, it is Ninja Theory.
They've done some PlayStation games.
Mm-hmm.
So big title PlayStation games.
So obviously, like it or not, I give props to an indie studio doing well on a game and making a game that looks damn good, and that essentially people are now, because of a game like this, because of Hellblade, they're starting to kind of reshape terms to try to better fit it. This is essentially a AAA indie, which is a complete oxymoron. Mm-hmm. But it's the thing is indie means you're independent of AAA. But whatever. Well, they're calling it.
Understand how the gaming community is online too.
Mm-hmm.
If an indie game is a game that I like, it is no longer indie.
Yeah.
Basically, what people really mean is they don't want to play the 8-bit style games most of the time, or low budget games a lot of the time. But they just lump that all as, I don't like indies. No. You don't like 8-bit games, which is fine.
Yeah, the thing is indie isn't a genre.
Note, I'm calling out Xaiphen because he's playing Warframe right now.
but no,
because I had to.
Yeah, but no, so the thing is indie isn't a genre. It's kind of like calling anime a genre. It's not. Anime is a medium, just like indie. Indie just refers
like calling
to
comic books a genre or movies a genre.
Yeah, it's
What genre of movies do you like? Movies genre.
yeah, it's a medium. It's not a genre. Like within the indie development scene, I could have an action RPG. I could have a side-scrolling Metrovania. Like those are genres.
Mhm.
And that's where people.
And I'd even wonder about the Metroidvania thing.
Well, I mean, Metrovania.
I think even that's pushing it.
That, like, honestly, that is kind of a genre. It's a game that is that typical side-scrolling adventure or action game that you kind of saw popularized by Metroid and by Castlevania from the 90s. So that one is it's a comparative genre to me. Calling something a Metroidvania, it's a side-scrolling action game. But Metroidvania kind of gives you that feel of what it actually is. 2D, whatever. But
Souls-like.
Huh?
Souls-like.
Yeah, Souls-like, roguelite. Yes, I that one I'm still not entirely certain what roguelike and roguelite the difference is there, but whatever. Point is that those are genres. Indie is not a genre, so when you try to say I don't like indie games, like when someone says, I don't like indie games because the 8-bit graphics, it's like, well, that's not all that you said I don't like anime because there's big boobs in them. Not all animes have big boobs.
Well, once upon a time, 8-bit graphics were AAA games.
That's true. You look in the early 90s, late 80s, 8-bit graphics were a big thing until 16-bit became a thing.
Yeah.
But no, my thing is that it is still an indie game, 100% indie. It's an indie studio proving once again that you do not have to be tied to a multinational corporation AAA publisher in order to put out a good game. In fact, you have more creative freedom to put out the game you want. That's my point.
Yeah, I think that's really where you see the true innovation this generation.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, the Destiny fad, let's be honest, the Destiny fad that now Anthem is, like the 4th or 5th game that's continuing into that was started by the indie title Warframe. Like it or not.
I'd even argue it goes back as far as Diablo.
Well, yeah, actually, I would say it goes back as far as Diablo with the sense of a kind of a looter game. Just that kind of like not really any, like the whole point is you just endlessly grind and loot. But the actual looter shooter, as Total Biscuit called it, or as I call it, kind of the MMO shooter, situation. That one to me is definitely Warframe's wheelhouse, and that's kind of what it.
What about Borderlands?
Hmm?
What about Borderlands?
Borderlands is an action adventure game, and it's not. While there is grinding, definitely, it's not necessarily the MMO aspect that Warframe has, and that Destiny has, and that Division has, and Anthem will have. It's kind of their own thing.
As much as I don't like Warframe, I feel like you call on Destiny and the Division an MMO comparative to it is kind of insulting.
What do you mean?
Because with Warframe, you actually run into other players outside of social hubs.
Oh.
Damn. There's a lot of players on
that
Warframe.
was just like, that was 2 fireballs that hit Ubisoft and Bungie at the same time. Oh,
damn.
Ouch.
And keep in mind, I don't like Warframe.
Yeah,
I prefer
don't pull those
Destiny
punches.
over
I mean,
Warframe.
come on.
And I still took that shot. That shot needed to be taken.
But yeah, so, and, but no, and I think that's just, a lot of the innovation does happen in the indie market, and then AAA guys will pick it up, maybe refine it, or maybe worsen it, and cheapen it, and monetize it more, because that's AAA. And we're going to get into that monetizing thing with that nice smooth segue, talking about how to fuck up an action adventure game by over monetizing the shit out of it with Shadow of War. So Shadow of War, for those of you who are not aware, Shadow of War was announced. Not only do they have like 4 different pre-order options that you can get with different grades. Day 1 DLC included in them, by the way. The silver grade has 2 pieces of Day 1 DLC in it, and the gold edition, pre-order edition, has 4 pieces of Day 1 DLC.
Before we go too deep onto the Shadow of War, while we're talking about indie shoutouts, I think Sonic Mania deserves a shout out too, just for the praise it's been getting. They said it's the best Sonic game in about 15 years.
Yeah, but that's Sega. Years. That's not indie.
Yeah, Sega didn't develop this one. This is an indie product.
They're published. I think they published it though.
Yeah.
Publisher that makes whether or not it's an indie game.
I will tell you in 2 seconds. Its publisher is Sega. 100% AAA game. So, yeah. Definitely not an indie game. Good game, though. And definitely deserves praise for doing good, though.
I've given up hope on Sonic, honestly. I never thought
this one's actually really good. I've been playing it on PS4. It's really good.
It's $70 fucking dollars? What?
What's $70?
Sonic Mania.
Fuck no, it's 17. 17 on Steam.
Why am I seeing all these guys? Maybe there's something I'm missing on here. So these guys
sir, it's $17 on Steam right now. It's $20 on console.
Yeah, what is I gotta click on this to find out what the fuck it's talking about. Oh, that's because it's it's the collector's edition.
Yeah, the collector's edition.
That's what it was.
Pretty sweet. It has
Sonic standing on a Sega Master Drive. That's great.
It's pretty sweet, I think.
12-inch statue, collector's cards.
It also comes with which cards? A little console
cartridge.
Or a little cartridge model. Yep. Where there's one of Sonic's strings in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, I have no problem with swag. That is a form of monetizing that I have no complaints about.
Yeah, that's actually some good swag.
It's completely optional. You don't have to do it. But yeah, so in Shadow of War though, so they've got those pre-order guides that have Day 1 DLC plugged into them. They also have microtransactions. By the way, this is a full price $60 title, by the way, because of course it is. It has microtransactions built into the fucking Nemesis system, where now you either and I've made this statement before. Joe and I have both. I think we've gone back and forth a while ago when we talked about free to play monetization, where free to play monetization invariably affects the development of the game. Like, no matter what you do, if you're making stuff like that's RNG based, or if you make stuff like to try to encourage people to buy into the microtransactions, you have to create that certain level of frustration in that grind wall so that they're incentivized to do so, to skip that if they can. So
some games, I don't think they made a lick of difference in Mass Effect 3.
No. If you think about it, Mass Effect 3, it did, because all you were doing is, instead of having to play matches and grind and get the credits to buy those chests, you pay money and got the chest. So it was just pretty much like an instant buy button. It's pay to skip. That is the big thing in all of these guys, is pay to skip content.
I see the point you're thinking. I was thinking you're gonna get better crates if you pay for it. Not Mass Effect. You're still gonna get the same dog shit.
The thing is,
how much cryo ammo do you need?
The thing is, had there not been RNG chests in there that were monetized as microtransactions, they probably would have had a system like, for example, in my most heavy experience with like some Call of Duty games, where in order to unlock attachments for a gun, you had to play matches and level up that gun, right? So with Mass Effect, if they wanted to have a system that was more fulfilling for a player as they were playing the game, if I wanted to get my Avenger, like say for example, I start off with the Avenger, right? I get the Avenger to rank 3. I get, these X attachments unlocked. I'm doing a little bit more damage because I'm at rank 3. I get to rank 5. I get some more stuff. Maybe unlock some new assault rifles. I get it to rank 10, I unlock more assault rifles that are maybe silver or also bronze grade. And then that way you essentially have to play with weapons, level them up in order to unlock other stuff. And if you want to unlock a specific thing, I play with this item, level it up to here, play with this item, level it up to here. And I can beeline right for the item that I want. Yeah, it may take some grinding to get through that, but it's not random chance where I'm sit there stuck on the whole like, oh, I want this ultra rare character. Oh, but I maxed out everything else, so now all I'm getting is rank 4 ammo. Or Andromeda, even worse, I'm getting fucking veteran ranks, and I'm getting the weapon permutations to fucking just fill up and pad that content out. That's where the free-to-play monetization affects development, and unfortunately, I think that's going to happen in Shadow War, where they're going to make it grindy as shit to unlock the stuff that you have to pay for.
That game went from a game I was going to buy day one to a game that I'm like, I'm going to wait and maybe or maybe not buy it. I love Shadow of Mordor.
Man, it makes
it's
no
WB.
sense,
no,
honestly.
it makes perfect sense. It's WB.
I hope, and I'm really hoping they do it, because
sense, but
Rise of the Tomb Raider had microtransactions too.
Did
but it in no way is something you had to do. If you're going to do it in single player, I think that's kind of the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's so scummy. It is so scummy.
Like
it's WB.
So one of the
Warner
things.
Brother.
So if you're gonna have microtransactions, a lot of people, like for example, people in Overwatch are like, "Oh, it's all cosmetic," and I'm like, "That is true." That and some people like Jim Sterling criticize any microtransactions in a pay-to-play game, including Overwatch, because he feels like if you buy the game, you should not have to then pay more money to unlock RNG stuff. And to be fair, his premise on why he doesn't like Overwatch on there is something that I've said before, is that RNG microtransactions are, to me and to a lot of people, unlicensed gambling. They're not legally gambling because per like the Nevada Gaming Commission and other governmental organizations that manage it, in order for it to be gambling, the payout has to be something of tangible value.
And you can't prove that something in the game is worth tangible value.
And like getting a gun in game does not have tangible value. CS:GO, on the other hand, if you guys remember that scandal with the CS:GO
because
lottery
you can say,
stuff,
"Oh yeah, my skin is worth this much."
Yeah, those skins had monetary value, and therefore that was unlicensed gambling. And shady as fuck at that. Whenever you had the people running the site claiming to win all the shit from it to try to make it seem awesome. But no, like that's where his stands on it, and I completely get it. And there is, by the way, the microtransactions in this are RNG. Of course they are. Mm-hmm. So I want to pose it to you guys. Do you guys think there is a fair way to do microtransactions in a paid game, not a free-to-play game, but a paid game?
I actually disagree with Jim Sterling on the Overwatch thing. Mm-hmm. I think Overwatch is one of the best ways to have done microtransactions. You don't have to buy them. You can earn everything through a loot crate. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen any evidence to prove that you get better stuff out of the crates from paying for them. My only beef really is you get a shit ton of duplicates.
You see, my issue with these kind. Oh, sorry, Kev.
Oh no, you're fine. And then the last thing is it doesn't change the gameplay. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't understand why people are so caught up on skins for your character in the first-person shooter. You don't even see them. I actually think that shit like that should be for sale. I like Call of Duty did this in Black Ops 2, where you could just buy the skin you want. And I think that's fine. I think that's great. Like, they could come out with these limited edition skins. You want it, you buy it, you're done. That's
Same thing with CS:GO. Like buy the skin. And the thing is CS:GO to me makes more sense because what are all the skins? Weapon skins. It's literally where their market is. The part that the player actually sees.
Yeah, I think what makes it worse in CS:GO though, as opposed to COD, is you can actually sell the ones on CS:GO, and that's where the problem comes in. And even
awesome,
make it worse. You remember that shit they did with everybody complaining about Payday, where you had to buy the key to unlock the crate.
Yep.
You have to do that in CS:GO.
Yep.
CS:GO did it first. That's the problem I have with it in CS:GO.
Lock boxes, yeah.
Yeah, you have to pay like $2 to unlock a box to maybe get something good.
Yep.
Whereas COD, you just buy the skin or the camo, or you do challenges for the camos.
Yeah, in Xaiphen play a lot of Star. Oh, before I go on, Travis, you had something to say.
Right. So the thing about these microtransactions and what I think, I think there are ways, as long as there's like a certain type of game, right? There's like the Overwatch types of games and Dota games that are pretty much, built around a microtransaction system. Whereas you have games like Shadow of Mordor and what was the oh man, I can't remember, the newer Dead Space game.
Dead Space 3?
Dead Space 3, where you have microtransactions that are shunted into what is obviously a complete single-player gaming experience, right?
There was a game that did.
I mean, you can even get those right in single player. Rise of the Tomb Raider did a great job.
Well, there was a game. There was a game that actually Deus Ex, the new Deus Ex title.
Oh, Deus Ex.
They shoved them in right at the end of development, so they felt super forced. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was real bad.
But yeah, continue on there. Yep.
It's just extraordinarily scummy to me if you do it that way, and it feels bad to the players, and it's an obvious, non-developer, upper-level management, monetary choice.
I think the problem is it comes from the guys who don't actually game, which workaholics. They're company men, so they don't actually use their product to understand why it does. But they're just like, well, this is how we make more money.
Yeah, and that's to be fair. Xaiphen, though, so you played a lot of Star Trek Online, which obviously that's a free-to-play game that has lockboxes.
Well, here, I can cover a few different free-to-play games actually on this. From Star Wars, Star Trek. Overwatch is not free-to-play game, but looking at
the
microtransactions and Warframe. Now, of all of those games, all 4 of those games, and I think I got more games I've played with microtransactions in there. The only game I have paid into and actually felt value into paying into microtransactions, is Warframe. I've played, and here's the thing: is I've gotten more story content, or at least it felt more story content out for a while out of Star Trek. I did really enjoy Star Trek for a while, and I may go back to playing it again sometime in the future. I just got stalled out on the place I was on it. I don't understand, so that maybe it's easier for some people to get caught up in this than others, or maybe getting into the little nooks and crannies of the game. But playing through the campaigns on Star Trek, no motivation to pay into the microtransactions at all.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I take that back. I did spend on a Star Trek. I can't remember what it was, but it was. The thing is it was nothing that I felt pressured into doing. If you start getting into the what was the game style referred to as a Warframe and collector game or something like that? Looters.
Yeah.
Looters, where you more or less you're just trying to build your warehouse of crap. That's where I can actually see Star Trek, Star Wars, for that matter, probably too, in Warframe. That's where I think they draw a lot of their income from, is the people who have the mentality where they just want to collect everything. Not just I kill bad guys. I kill bad guys and inventory pops out, blah, blah, blah. That sort of thing. It's just a matter of I've got this grand display case of all of my stuff. That's where I can see a lot of drawing income, is the people who start picking up those kinds of mentalities, not necessarily the people who are I have this device for this specific thing, this device for this specific thing. They pull money off of those people too, but more on the people who are I want to collect everything. Everything. I want all 47 cats in my house.
The guys like me who want all the consoles and a PC.
Whereas Overwatch, for a paid game, I think is a good format for microtransactions for a game you pay to play. Now, if it is a offline single-player role-playing game that is not free to play, there should be no microtransactions in such a game whatsoever. I feel that they have no place in a paid, like a $60 price tag offline single-player role-playing game. It should not be it should not fit in there at all. They just should not be a way to make it work. I know there's people who have. They just should not even try.
Skins.
Well,
yeah.
So here's
even
my thing.
Like skins on a role playing game. Yeah, I guess they have some value there.
So
it's still kind of jarring, honestly. Like even if it works, even if it's not offensive, it's still jarring to me.
So here's my.
If you look at Overwatch, you can collect. Here's the thing: is it has no effect on your people's collective nature, where they want to hoard their warehouse, and it has no effect on the playability of the game whatsoever. You've got everything you need to play the game effectively at your fingertips, and a lot of it, and when it comes into games like that, is the player's skill. So you can collect everything through RNG, and if you do not want to collect that, go through the RNG, then you can pay money, and it's purely cosmetic. And I
think about Mass Effect 2 and all of the different skin packs that they had. I think Mass Effect 3 had them too, but I remember I had them all on console for Mass Effect 2.
Mm-hmm.
I loved having them; they were great.
Especially that one that put what's her name, Miranda in black leather. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was thinking the leather one that Jack had.
Oh yeah,
I really like that leather outfit with the glasses that Jack had.
Oh yeah, that too.
I thought that one was badass.
But I mean, or not black leather. Sorry, black latex. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. The sexy Miranda showing up the ass. But my point is, there is value in that for people who like that, people who want to see, maybe some variation in the game. If you want to pay for that, how was there no place for it? I think the difference is when we come.
No, you made a good point. I
do it.
So here's my thing on here is that the way I kind of look at it is, so first of all, you have to kind of define the difference between a microtransaction and DLC. So, for example, Mass Effect 2, those were DLC skin packs. They were offline. There was no real mention of them in-game. Like, you never... If you did not look at the available DLC, right, of the game, you would never actually... If you were in the game, playing the game, you would have no idea that there were skin packs available to the game. They're completely invisible unless you actually buy them and install them. Then you get the option to switch the character skins. The difference with microtransactions is microtransactions have some form of subtle in-game advertising, as I call it. For example, of the way that Mass Effect 2 would do it. Imagine that you were in game, right? You go to your character selection screen.
Immersion breaking shit.
Yeah, and you see, switch skin button, and you click the Y button to switch skins, and it says, you have to buy this to get, you pay $1.99 for this skin, pay $1.99 for this skin. It has some kind of direct in-game advertisement. The example in Warframe would be, I go to my Warframe selection screen, right, and I scroll through the list of all of my Warframes, and then seamlessly added onto the end of my Warframes are all the ones I don't have, and hey, you can buy them. Click here and you can purchase them right now. It kind of throws that little it's not really advertising as in your face, but it's a subtle advertising to try to get you to purchase with microtransactions, right? So and like I said, in a free-to-play game, I can understand it more because it's their monetization model. But in a pay-to-play game, for example, first Shadow of Mordor game, right? You had you did have skins, right? You had the kind of Dark Ranger skin, the skin that made you look like the chick, whatever in the first Shadow of Mordor game. Those were DLC, right? Otherwise, I would have never seen them in game, right? Like when I was in game, there would be no obvious sign that they're existing, right? Whereas now, if they have similar such skins, seems like WB, it's gonna try to throw them in your face. Say, oh, would you like to? You can grind for this, or would you like to just pay money and do it now? They're going to try to force that on you. Now, is Overwatch an okay way to do that? Well, I mean, as far as it goes, you have full access to 100% of the functional game without the cosmetics. Where I have the fundamental problem on the game is this. So, and I made this argument before, and I've since changed my position on it. Previously, you guys might have remembered me saying, "Oh, well, the cost of developing a game is increased, and the price has plateaued, right? Whereas an SNES game was $40, and then an Xbox game was $50. Xbox 360 was $60." And an Xbox One is $60, and so on. And so it's plateaued at $60. People don't seem to want to pay more than $60 for a game, right? But the development costs have increased. Well, from what I've noticed on there, especially if it shows if Mass Effect Andromeda is a good example of it, I don't think the costs are increasing because they're getting that much better.
Mm-hmm.
The costs are increasing because they're spending X amount of money into marketing and things that actually don't affect the quality of the game, right? They're not managing money well either. Like Mass Effect Andromeda was poorly managed, and I think that's really, to be honest, what the problem is. It's not, the games should not be monetized extra. They should be able to sustain themselves off the $60 price tag. Now, Overwatch, to be fair, is not a $60 game. So that, again, kind of throws in a little bit more justification for having the...
It's 40 still.
Yeah, it's 40.
That's the same rule
no, it's 30 for the base game, 40 for the... Or no, is it 40 for the base game?
It's 40 and 60. 40, 60.
At launch, it was 40 for the regular.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to get all the skins and shit, it was another $20.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, but my thing is that it has a little bit more leeway on there, but to be honest with you, you sell it as a $60 game, you should be able to sustain off of those game sales. And let's be honest, like a Shadow of War will be able to make a profit off of just game sales. Without a single dime of microtransactions, they will make a profit.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 is becoming disappointing like that too. Yeah. Because they're selling card packs, and people are actually saying this is pay to win. Yep, and they're actually calling it pay to win. Well, it's like, it's fucking Star Wars. You don't need anything more. You say, hey, we fixed everything from the first Star Wars Battlefront. Come check it out. You had me sold there.
What wasn't the first Star Wars Battlefront game? Didn't they have that as a deluxe edition bonus, like that pistol that was way over fucking powered, and you got it unlocked from the get go, like the DX?
That was a pre-order bonus, I believe.
It was pre-order or deluxe edition, whatever the case was. It was a pistol that was way out of balance, and really, it was something you can unlock in the game, but you unlocked at the very end. It was like the last item you would unlock, and if you pre-ordered or got the deluxe edition or whatever, you got it up front. And I was like, yeah, that seems a little broke.
Yeah, they've nerfed the shit out of that gun.
So, I guess my judgment on there is if I'm asked, are microtransactions something that are fair to have in a full-priced game? I personally think no. Even a game like Overwatch, like, don't get me wrong, I still think they could totally have the chests in there with the RNG skins. You can leave them in there and just strip out the ability for them to be bought with real money. I think the game would be none the worse off for it. The only reason in there, and this is the major question of what, like, this is the way that I find myself answering a lot of these questions on should something be in a game, is I ask the question, does it benefit the gamer? Does it benefit the consumer? In the case,
I actually think loot boxes in some ways hurt the gamer.
Yep.
I miss the unlock systems. I think Call of Duty is one of the few games that still does. You unlock your camos, you unlock your skins, you just hit levels, or just by playing the game, doing regular shit, like, get 100 headshots with this gun, and now you get camo for it.
And that's what I was
games
mentioning.
Don't do that anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I was mentioning, is that, like, everybody's going to the RNG system. You know why? It's cheap and it's easy. Like it takes
Easy.
no
Well,
work.
not only
It's
that,
lazy.
it's almost guaranteed. It's almost guaranteed money at some point.
Yeah.
Because not everyone was buying season passes. You came to find, especially I think toward the end of the last 360 and PS3, people just were buying the base game and like, you know what, I can play the base game and be very happy there. They'll play it for a couple months, and then they'll play something else about the time.
What
Two,
game
3
was
months
it?
later, they're playing something else anyway.
Was it Fallout 4 or what game was it that? Oh yeah, it was Fallout 4. I think that like the season pass was kind of pretty much a ripoff. Like if you total up the cost of all the DLC, it actually costs less than the season pass or something like that.
I don't know. I paid.
I don't think that was the only one like that, but yeah,
I
still.
took it. I got it before the which card before the price.
No, that's what it was. Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. They sold the season pass for $20 up front at the beginning of the game, and then later on down the line jacked up the price to $40. That's what it was. That's some bullshit.
Yeah, it is. Especially when I think about it, I still haven't played that DLC. Like the DLC for Fallout's been out for like a year now, maybe 2 years.
I want to say
I hear the DLCs are actually pretty good. I played the robot one. I haven't played Nuka-Cola or Far Harbor.
I've actually not even like because it's a Bethesda game. What I ended up doing was just building shit. I think I got maybe to the point where the full force of the one guy showed up with a blimp, and I won't spoil anything more for anybody who hasn't played it. But that's as far as I got was whenever.
I still haven't done my second playthrough of a lot of games. That's my problem. You say I hate gaming ADD. It's not that I have ADD with games. It's that I have so many games I want to play. I'll play a game. Like, I'll come back to this later. I still haven't gone back into the second playthrough of Dragon Age Inquisition. I've been wanting to. I haven't done a second playthrough of The Witcher 3. I've been wanting to. Fallout 4.
If we're talking
play through The Witcher 3.
If we're talking like indie titles that I think are way underrated, I'd just like to throw a shout out to Cly, whatever, the guys that made Mark of the Ninja and Invisible Ink. They definitely do a good job at having unique strategy games, which I actually really like. I've been playing through like a game that really encourages multiple playthroughs is Invisible Ink. As I realized, the actual campaign of it's fairly short. You finish it in a few hours, but in finishing the campaign, you earn, so to speak, XP, which then unlocks additional starting characters that you may not have experienced in the first playthrough, because each playthrough is kind of randomly generated as you play through the campaign. So it's kind of interesting. But I don't know. Like I said, I ask anytime a question on whether or not someone should have something. I ask if it benefits the gamer, if it benefits the consumer, and I find more often than not a lot of these questions is no. It only benefits the business. With the case of like microtransactions in a paid game. The game would be successful, profitable, and could afford to have a big budget completely without any microtransactions. The only people that it benefits are the publisher and being profit mongers. In the case of Shadow of War having 6 different fucking pre-order things with day one DLC and microtransactions in the game, they are money grubbing like hell. Essentially, a game that was the gameplay wise was fairly generic. I mean, it was pretty much, to me, honest, based very heavily off the Batman Arkham Knight fighting system, or Batman Arkham series, I should say, fighting system. And yeah, it was unique because of the Nemesis system, and that was really all the game really had going for it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was a mix of Batman and Assassin's Creed, basically.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah, exactly. Batman and Assassin's Creed, because all the damn
fucking and that's even what all the reviews said, and people were like, "Yeah, they still liked the game."
Yeah, the game is generally fun to play. Like, even I've so many times have just gotten out into fucking big ass brawls, and more orcs are showing up, and I'm just kicking the shit out of them, because that Y button, that block button, just wins all the time. I just get in these big brawls, and it's generally fun. Same thing with Arkham Knight. I would just get into brawls in that one. It was generally fun to get into brawls with people. But my thing is that the Nemesis system was interesting. It was a new type of idea in a game, which I definitely am always for new ideas. But it wasn't so good that and the thing is their microtransactions are pretty solely focused on that Nemesis system, where you unlock friends and unlock foes and unlock tribes of orcs and that sort of thing. That's where they're focusing all of it on, is because they realized that that was the big draw to the game, and that's where they're locking content behind grind walls. And I'm like, that's not the way it worked in the first game. What made it awesome was shit would just randomly happen. You didn't have to grind it. But yeah, so that's that. I guess my final thought on there is, does it benefit the consumer? And I think the easy answer is no. So last bit on there. Let's kind of wrap it up by talking about a couple of fun topics. First of all, Gamescom is happening on there. Happening, I think, starting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And there was first of all, I have to share this because it was so great. What was it? PC Gamer? No, Eurogamer. The gaming publication Eurogamer is great because, in case you guys didn't know, Ubisoft will be showing off, mostly be a case of more hands-on time with their E3 slate, including Assassin's Creed Oranges.
They released Oranges?
Oh, yes.
Assassin's Creed Oranges.
Assassin's Creed Oranges.
Assassin's Creed Oranges will be at Gamescom, guys. In case anybody's wondering,
Am I the only one
those
that's
are
actually...
some really fucking dangerous oranges, man. I tell you what.
I'd be all right with this game. This sounds like a winner. It sounds better than the actual Assassin's Creed we've been getting. So,
I thought it was and I know it was a typo. It was totally a typo. There was no joke in there. They were trying to type Origins, and they were probably typing up on their phone, and auto-corrected to Oranges. We all know that's what happened. The editor missed it, but I screen capped it, and I made sure that they knew about it, because I'm a troll.
And it's still there, so they ignored you.
Yeah, but so my thing is that one of the notable parts on there is that PlayStation, for the second year in a row, is skipping Gamescom, which, to be honest with you, is kind of their...
well, they usually do Paris Games Week anyway.
Microsoft skip it last year?
No, Microsoft
PlayStation
usually puts a big deal on Gamescom, but Sony usually doesn't.
Because of the fact that Sony has such a dominant... their European dominance is so complete, they don't give a fuck.
Well, they do Paris Games Week, where I don't see Microsoft
very
often.
Yeah, but Gamescom, which is largely the largest gaming convention in Europe, to the point where Angela Merkel is apparently showing up this year because she's the Prime Minister of Germany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's going to show up to Gamescom because... I don't know why. Publicity stunt. Glad hand a bunch of gamers and say vote for me, or whatever Germany does. Point is that it's a big deal, and Sony keeps skipping it. Do you think that will have any potential backlash to them?
No. I actually, when Sony started skipping them, their reasoning was in part that it was so close to E3, which I kind of agree with, and that they'd have more to show for PSX and Paris Games Week in October. I actually think Paris Games Week is probably a better showing for them because, again, it is so close to E3, which was their reasoning for not going the last few years. Or even PSX. Yeah. Because they do their own event, PSX, in December.
Yeah, they do.
Which I think is a great idea. I don't think they need Gamescom.
So do you guys, aside from Assassin's Creed Oranges, which I think we can agree is the most exciting announcement at Gamescom, is there anything else that you guys saw that was interesting of note that's going to be showed off there?
I want to see South Park. Or I want to play
Fractured
South Park.
Butthole.
Mm-hmm.
Kev's all about them fractured buttholes.
You know it. Especially after I love the Stick of Truth so much.
Well, that sounds interesting. Okay, so then our last topic on here is we're gonna end the show with some good old Sony bashing. So already bashed them on the whole lack of crossplay, but there was also their fun of hell was it? You know what? I can't remember what the hell we were gonna bash them about. I got so distracted on there. So whatever the case is, we'll just go into final thought since I can't remember what the hell I was gonna say about them. So. It's there's so many things that apparently that's where we're going on. So Kev, final thoughts.
PlayStation is greatness. I've become a pony apparently because I'm finding myself preferring or enjoying more Uncharted games than I am Mass Effect games. It kind of hurts when I think about it.
For shame, for shame.
I'm still planning on playing the new Uncharted when it comes out this week. Looking forward to it. And yeah, play these games. Travis, stop fraud. I need you to start gaming again.
Yeah.
He's playing mobile games.
So he says. Show me them trophies, son. Show me them achievements. Yeah, that's all I got for right now, I think. I'll think of something else at some point.
Travis, final thoughts?
I don't know. It's just a weird thought that popped up in my head about indie games. Is that I think something that I really appreciate about indie games is the fact that they have a lot more. They have a lot more space to create that feeling that certain older games had, in that they can be very unforgiving. A game that I played around for a little bit at a friend of mine's house, and I'm thinking about getting myself. It's called No Guns, and
No
it
Guns?
basically.
That sounds like no
it's No
fun.
Guns. Well, I mean, I think some people think it's not, but basically it gives you the controls, like the just regular, like how to move and how to shoot, and then it tells you nothing else. There's no other like text. You basically have to figure out everything about the game contextually and through just like trial and error. And some people that's really frustrating too and super edgy, but for me that's really awesome. It's kind of like what Dark Souls did whenever I first played
They're
it.
doing something different. That's to me the key. You know.
Well, they don't have to rely on the AAA. We have to appeal to everybody. They appeal to a niche.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that AAA games really, to me, like, because the nature of corporate business is to maximize profits. Always be maximizing profits, right? So I think as a result, they inherently will always casualize games because they, like, even though, to be honest with you, games are better when you apply to niche markets. Don't be scared to be complex. Don't be scared to be niche.
Mm-hmm.
Just do the game that you creatively feel is right.
I don't think that
that's not as
the corporations
profitable.
care about having a better game.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
they care about having a game that sells more.
Exactly. They well not just sells more, but just generally generates more revenue, be it from actual sales or be it from microtransactions or subscriptions or whatever. More profits.
I think there is room for both, right? I get very frustrated with AAA games being that way because I see games and I want to like them and they're too casualized for my taste sometimes.
Like Skyrim.
But yeah, and I was going to use Skyrim as my example. We talk about Skyrim all the time, right? And
we're back to being the Skyrim podcast.
Well, I mean, we can talk about Bethesda in general on that note too.
I hate Skyrim, but
You're
I
not
have
alone,
seen
sir.
Skyrim introduce people into gaming that I never thought would get into gaming.
True.
Right? And
because it is
that
a casual
has inherent
experience.
value to the community, regardless of how bad it is, right? It still has value in that it's introduced new people into, the thing that we love and talk about, even though I don't do it as much as I should.
It's generally
You're just a slacker. That's all there is to it.
It's in general.
Yeah.
It's in general that fulfilling that power fantasy. Part of what kind of annoyed me about the direction that Lionhead went with Microsoft's backing, of course, for Fable 2 and 3, where especially with Fable 3, where it was pretty much like one button does everything. Just press a button and stuff dies. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
It was just, very much casualized, very much
And I mean,
appealing to lowest
and
common
casualizing, like Travis said, can bring a lot of people in. I think that helps. I didn't realize, like, before I got into Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, I was one of those guys, too. Like, I'd buy 3, maybe 4 games a year, and it'd be kind of like the same couple franchises, my 2K, if a Mass Effect came out, of a Dragon Age came out. And, I didn't pay a lot of attention to games media, and I just played the games I liked.
Mm-hmm.
But when something like that happens, whatever it is that opens up something to you, for me it was Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Sometimes you just need that gateway. Like, that was my gateway to online gaming.
Yeah, well, in a lot of ways, I think that a challenge for a game that I really would like to see done well, and some games start to get into it, but don't really seem to go all the way, is have a game that is very... the entry level of it, the doorway into it is very easy and accessible for everybody, but the kind of the ceiling of it, so to speak, goes extremely high to the point where even very hardcore gamers can get into it, right? So maybe you can play like the easy mode of the game that really, and some games do this with like their difficulties essentially being labeled as narrative only, where the combat is minimalized and the difficulty rather minor and it's mainly just played for getting the story out, or the hardcore one where you have to focus on all of the tertiary status effects and all of these like attributes and the metagaming side of it as much as you do the story. And I think that that's kind of an interesting way to do it, but without taking up too much time on there, it's Xaiphen. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. More, you need to get back into the grind and start having fun with Warframe again, because it just works like that.
Ew.
Kev 2. Oh,
No,
wait,
thank
never
you.
mind.
I'm waiting for Destiny.
I don't know. I don't really have any... I don't really have any final thoughts that are, significantly different than what's already been said. So,
Except
there it is.
I apparently need to play more Warframe. Actually, and this will tie into my
Get back
final
on this
thoughts.
Mass Effect grind.
No.
Or I need to play less.
Mass Effect can go fuck itself. That's my final answer on there. I'm done with Andromeda. I have not even finished the story of the game, and as soon as they did patch 109 on multiplayer, where they added in all the veteran ranks and all the weapon shit on there, I'm done. That's the final straw, and BioWare as a result is going to have to work fucking hard to earn my purchase in the future for their fuckery in this game. They've lost all their goodwill from me.
I would probably continue
damn,
playing
they
it
lost
for a
to
little
Justin
while,
Andromeda?
but with the lack of friends to play, my time spent into that game will drop off significantly.
Mine has 2. I've been mostly playing with pubs now.
Yeah, well, my thing is that Andromeda was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, Inquisition had some fuckery. Like, so Mass Effect 3 multiplayer kind of irked me a little bit. A little eye twitch with the whole the level 4 consumables. Once you unlocked all the gold weapons, you started getting level 4 consumables, and I was like, that was obviously a deliberate decision meant to increase the grind for end game players to try to juice those last bit of microtransactions out of them. It was pretty transparent to me, and it annoyed me a bit, but by then I had definitely gotten my time out of the game, and I felt that I had had so much fun even before that. So that was a little minor note of greed, but that was minor. Then Inquisition came out, and we started to see some of the political bullshit with like Krem, the very horribly arbitrary and insulting stuff in there. And the writing was suffering a bit. Multiplayer was just so poorly handled with that game, it was not even funny. And then Andromeda came out, and it was just an absolute shit show from start to finish. The whole development of the game from start to finish, it was so badly handled.
I like what they've done with Andromeda, except for what they did with the drops.
The premise of the game, if you showed me the game on paper, no images of it, nothing like that, you showed me the premise of the game, I was excited about the idea of going to a new galaxy and exploring, because that was their original idea. What they were talking about, exploration.
Oh, you mean single player?
Yeah.
I don't acknowledge that this game has a single player.
Right. No, my thing is that if they would have gone a Dark Soulsy, and I say this on a very loose definition of Dark Soulsy, or Elder Scrolls route or Fallout route, with essentially, there's some story quests, there's some side quests you can do, but really the crux of the game is based on environmental storytelling, which would encourage you to explore, right? That's what the major draw of a lot of games like Elder Scrolls or Dark Souls is that you have to explore, because you never know, like those little niche things, you might find something that kind of tells you a new piece of the story that you wouldn't have otherwise known, right? Instead, because it's BioWare doesn't understand how to do environmental storytelling, because they're BioWare. We know their game formula. They've stuck to it every fucking game that they've ever made, from Neverwinter and Baldur's Gate up to Andromeda. They have the same formula for their storytelling. If you look at the general storytelling of it, anybody that's curious, you can contact me and I'll kind of break it down for you what the formula is. But they've used the same damn formula. The difference in Andromeda and Inquisition is you didn't have Drew Karpyshyn writing it. That's the true difference, honestly.
Yeah, well, that can make a pretty significant difference.
Oh, it does, because he's pretty much the golden child of him. But in any case, not going on that too much, they largely they had an opportunity to really do something unique and different with Andromeda, and I was excited for that. I'm always excited for new things. And instead, I got something that was extremely bland and obviously a cash grab based upon the IP. And the changes.
And that I think is a lot. I wonder how much of that is EA as well.
To be honest with you,
and maybe that's my inner Mass Effect fanboy saying that.
That's your inner Mass Effect fanboy, because I'll be completely honest. Given like I said, the very formulaic way that they've done their storytelling in games, the reason why they got bought by EA is because they were able to churn out rather profitable games, low cost, high revenue. And that's the truth of it, is that that's the reason why they got bought by EA. And I'm pretty certain, like, they were already publicly traded before they were bought by EA. There was already corporate greed in there. Not as bad as Bethesda, but it was still there. So, to be frankly honest, I don't attribute a lot of stuff to EA. To be frankly honest, I think EA might be doing a lot more to try to stop that shit, because they're trying to avoid that whole worst company in America award again. They won that 2 years in a row. That really hurt their image, and I think that they're trying to get away from that if they can. Until people forget about it, then they'll go right back to it. You know, it's just that they're trying to sweep that under the rug and make people forget about it. They're a corporation. They're always going to roll back around to making more money. The only reason why they would go away from being just complete greed mongers is because they're trying to improve their image, which in turn will profit them more. It's all about their bottom line.
So they're still greed mongers. They're just going to pretend not to be for a little while.
Exactly. That's
basically what I heard.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That 100%. Like, I am not saying that EA is anything more than greed mongers, because they're a corporation. Any corporation, it's an entity designed to generate profit. That is what a corporation is at its core. Every corporation out there, they're just meant to. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's neutral. But anyway,
making money isn't bad.
So, but my thing is that. No, I'm actually going to probably be starting up a live stream this afternoon, actually. Live streaming Dragon Age Origins, because that was actually a good game made by BioWare. And it's mostly based upon...
Well, you played it on PC.
Yeah, well...
Are you going to do the multiplayer of the...
Oh... no, my major thing is that actually in the process of setting up my new PC, at some point in time, all of my save files for Dragon Age Origins got corrupted. And so that shit sucked. So I'm like, well...
See, I back
Were you not using the Steam Cloud?
No.
You can't cloud that game.
Yeah, it's not cloud.
The only cloud you can do is if you use OneDrive as your source, save source.
Shit!
I didn't know that.
So here's my thing: is essentially And furthermore, Steam would no longer allow me to get all of the DLC for the game, so I've installed it through Origin, which let me install the DLC fine, and that one supports cloud saves of the cloud backups of the save. So I'm going to do it.
I've always wondered, can you use the if you install in the same directory? I would imagine you could use this Origin DLC with the Steam version. Can you not?
No, the authentication's different.
Okay, see, I didn't know, because I know Ubisoft games do that. I discovered recently.
No, Steam's platform pretty much does everything proprietary, which is why a lot of games you'll see are like, oh, this is not compatible with the Steam version, is because Steam has a proprietary authentication method.
Well, see,
I wonder if
Ubisoft actually works in partnership with Steam in a lot of cases, so their system is very flawless.
I tested that theory with Rainbow Six Siege.
Yep.
I bought the $15 copy of it, and then refunded it just to see, hey, can I take my save from Steam to Uplay, and it works just fine, and it did.
Well, that's because even if you
technically
have
the
same
save
version,
is still working through.
It's still working
anyway.
through Uplay. Yeah, like that's the thing is that with that in mind, like you're still loading up Uplay when you load up Rainbow Six Siege.
That
like
makes
even
sense.
if you do it through Steam, it's still loading up Uplay. I wish the Origins would do that, but I understand why Origins doesn't is because it's cutting into EA's profit. They have to give Steam a chunk of their revenue from sales of Steam.
I still like, as much as I think we need competition in the space. I don't know. I don't like that EA has like, this is just for EA games.
To be honest with you,
all the games there or.
My thing is that I'm actually in support of more marketplaces, more places where you can buy stuff. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of anybody exclusivizing their games to their own proprietary platform, so that way they control the pricing on it. That's to me just another monopoly. I would prefer there to be open like GOGs, and yes, GOG is run by a publisher of a game. But they sell, like that's 1% of what they sell on GOG is the Witcher franchise or Gwent.
Right, they sell a lot of indies and retro games.
Yeah. It's Steam. Steam, yes, obviously Dota 2, CS:GO are run by Valve, who also control Steam. But yes, while those are the largest games that are on their platform, though that's like 1% of what is sold on Steam, like
that's like 0.1%.
Yeah, like there's
like
so
5
much
games on there of like thousands.
Yeah, there's so much more. I forgot about Team Fortress 2, obviously another big Valve title.
Portal.
Portal, but
Half-Life.
But yeah, well, no, I mean like as far as games that are still currently in under support. Half-Life and Portal are long since off support, although they're probably still selling, but. My major point on that is that those markets are rather publisher agnostic, all things considered. Even though they're made by a publisher, other publishers post games on there. Other developers post games on there.
Right, where like you can buy other games on Origin.
Very few.
Like, I have an uncle who he doesn't like Steam for whatever reason, and he buys all of his games that he would normally buy on Steam. He mostly buys like multiplayer stuff. Like he has the Division on Origin.
Interesting. I didn't know the Division was on Origin. Like I said,
I saw him do it. I know you can buy The Witcher on Origin. He basically does everything on Origin.
Maybe there's more games on there than I thought. I was under the assumption that they. I'm loading up Origin now because I'm curious now what games they actually have. Like, because most of it I've always seen is like. Like Dragon Age.
90% of it's EA.
Yeah,
like 99% of it is just EA games. And I don't know if it's still up there. I know at some point he showed it to me. They have the Division on Origin.
Oh yeah, they do have Witcher on there. I think they have Witcher on there, obviously, because
they do. They have
because CD Projekt Red is open and has no proprietary stuff. I can't remember the name of that. What's that term? The copyright. Or not copyright, piracy.
What you're thinking of is
DRM. They have no.
You're thinking of money grubbing, wallet bleeding.
No, that too. So it looks like, from what I can tell, it's pretty much EA and Uplay and CD Projekt Red are the only 3 guys that they have up there. because I see a lot of Uplay games, Far Cry, Division, Assassin's Creed. Oh no, yeah, Assassin's Creed's Ubisoft.
Assassin's Creed's on here. Well, I'm looking at the Watch Dogs 2 season
Watch
pass
Dogs.
right now.
So they have Uplay. I think it's because Uplay a while back adopted we're not going to relegate our shit to just our stores, so they made an effort to put it on all the other platforms. So I think you can find them.
They're on GOG.
You can find them on GOG. You can find them on Origin. You can find them on Steam. You know,
You
it's
can find
still
new Ubisoft games on GOG.
yeah. I'm pretty certain. Pretty soon they're on, because you got to realize, most people don't realize this. GOG is the second largest platform on PC.
Well, I realize that, but since the whole DRM free thing, I thought would have gone against the whole
Oh,
Uplay.
you know what? Maybe it did. I don't know. Anyway,
that's why I questioned it.
At this point,
if they have it set up like they do Steam, it will just you run the game and it will just run the GOG or launch the Uplay launcher.
yeah, but that may be against GOG's policy. Because
True.
that would then authenticate the DRM system, because Ubisoft is big on De Novo, like they're big.
Yeah,
on
they
De
really
Novo.
like their DRM.
Yeah, so that may be against GOG's founding principle is like no DRM. You install the game, you run it 100% offline. You know,
And
you don't even have to have it
we
linked.
expect our customers to be honest. We trust that you're going to be an honest player.
Yeah, you don't even need to have GOG running when the game plays. You can install it 100% solo, have a shortcut to the game on your desktop, and it runs the game by itself.
You can refund the game, and they won't even fuck with you about, oh, well, what about these EXEs?
Yeah.
They won't even fuck with you. They'll be like, oh, okay, no questions asked.
And they also have one of the most friendly...
I noticed that when I
like 30
got a
days.
refund for No
30
Man's Sky. I got rid of No Man's Sky because I was refunding it because I did not want it, not because I'm trying to rip off GOG. I did not want that game.
Not only do they have a 30-day refund policy,
Yeah,
but
the
you
best
can
refund policy in the industry.
you can actually still return games for GOG credit years after you have them.
Yeah.
Like you don't get your money back, you get GOG credit. If it's outside that 30 days though, you get credit on the GOG platform to buy another game.
Well, that's how I ended up buying No Man's Sky, was because the game they fooled me too. I had been watching that game for when they first started showcasing it a year previous, and I thought it looked interesting then. And I was one of, not exactly a pre-order, but an early adopter into the game. It's like, you know what, I'm hearing a little bit of flack about it, but it still looks pretty, so I'm going to try it out anyway. But the thing is the reason why I ended up buying it that early is I had tried to buy Witcher 3 first on GOG. The purchase failed over. Okay, I went to Steam. Screw it. I'm just going to fall back on Steam. It didn't work. Well, it turned out that purchase did go through. It just took several days for them to fix the shit and actually push the purchase through. I didn't notice it until after that 30-day mark when I, received my credit bill. I go, crap, why is that on there? So I went through and got the refund, and they did it on credit because it was past 30 days, and that credit turned around and went into No Man's Sky.
Yeah. But no, the point is that GOG is how you do a pro-consumer refund policy, which, like, people tout. Obviously, Steam, there's this absolute shit. There's this entirely a refund just so that we can say we have a refund system, but we really want to protect all of our developers and publishers, and that's really what it is.
It's like
Origin
Steam gets all this credit for it, but it's, if you think about it, 2 hours.
They only did it because they were forced to.
Mhm.
Most people don't even know they were forced to put in that refund policy
because Australia.
It was Australia, and then there was another lawsuit filed in the U.S. And so the FCC started looking, or the FTC, excuse me, the FTC started looking into them and said, yeah, you need an actual refund policy because this is not that, you're not allowed to do that. Funny thing about that, no refund policy, Xbox and PlayStation. Guess who has no refund policy?
Xbox is looking into it.
They're looking, they tested it, but then no word was heard of it since.
Mm-hmm. As my understanding is, it's coming. We just don't know when it's coming.
Yeah, but that's a hypothetical. I deal with what is right now.
I think it will, because Microsoft right now, they are the niche platform at the moment. They have the lowest player count of all.
No. Here's the thing.
Platforms.
Do you know why Xbox would do it?
Because they're losing?
No, because the Xbox app or the Windows Store, which is also tied into the Xbox Store, is competing with Steam, Origin, and GOG, who all have refund policies. And
Is it really fair to say that the Xbox app is competing?
It is.
When...
It's not competing well.
It's not, when you say it's competing, are you really competing when you're number 20 in the standings? When you have no chance of making the playoffs at all? Is that really competing?
You are in the standings, period. You have a presence. You are competing. You're just not competing well. But the thing is,
you're getting the draft pick that year.
That's one of the things I like about Xbox being tied in there, is because I feel like that it's forcing them to adopt some of the more customer-friendly, PC-centric policies, like mandatory refunds. Because all the other PC markets have it, even though it's not necessarily always good, they at least have some sort of refund. So, anyway, I think we rambled on and went off topic there for a while. We had our final thoughts. Let's get signed off of here, guys. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Guys can check us out. And final bit on here is, yes, we're going to now, instead of live streaming it to YouTube, we're going to be posting it as a video on demand onto YouTube after the podcast airs. And then we're also going to be, just kind of streamlining things. We're going to be casualizing the podcast, guys. We must be owned by...
Oh, no, you did not do that.
No, I'm kidding. So we're going to focus mostly on the Twitch live streaming part of it. So if you're watching this video on demand and you want to check us out live, definitely tune in to us live on Twitch, where you can catch us here every other Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to sign off here, guys. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. Cheers. And Kev, go ahead and with your fucking praise gaming bullshit.
Echo.
Praise Yoshida. No, wait. Praise Phil. Phil brought Gears to PC. Phil can stay.
Fuck Phil. Uncompromised 4K.
Feel like Phil. Phil is a good guy.
Uncompromised 4K.
Oh no, you. No, I'm saying because I'm making fun of the Xbox guys. You just see them all around, all pissed off because Phil Spencer isn't managing Xbox right. Phil brought Gears of War to PC.
No, you know what? This is how you can tell a fanboy is whenever the fanboy says that they're upset because Microsoft brought a game that was Xbox exclusive to the PC, and they're upset about that. Same thing with the Sony fanboy.
They were upset at first. Now they're saying, "Oh, well, PC isn't irrelevant. Or PC's irrelevant, so who cares?" That's their argument now.
Yeah, 30,
the PC players are what was I told? I was told that I was insecure because somebody said that the Xbox One will be able to do 16 times multi-sample anti-aliasing. Like, my 1080 can't do 16 times multi-sample anti-aliasing.
People don't know what 16 times anti-aliasing means. But let me actually stop the stream because,